Tammy, you ready? Will you call the roll, please? We're about to start, thank you.
For the record, Mr. Jack Kerrigan, who is the chairman, is absent tonight, and also Mr. Craig Durkins. So I'll call roll. Mr. Lee Elsie,
Here.
Mr. Rock Crease,
Here.
Mr. Linderman,
Here.
Mr. Cox,
Here.
and Ms. Gardner. Here.
All right, so since Jack's not here tonight, the first thing we really need is choose a chair, elect a chair for tonight. Do we have any nominations?
Nominate him.
A second. Okay. Anyone opposed? All right, and I accept.
You got it. All right, thank you for doing that, sir. That brings us to item 2 on the agenda, swearing in of our new members and reappointments. I apologize for some folks that just recently had to do it when they were filling the last term, but now we have to do it officially for your next 2-year term. So the clerk can help us move forward with that.
Are we going to do that with everyone at the same time, since we're all re-swearing or swearing in for the first time, or are you going to separate?
We're going to do it in unison, and it will be Mr. Linderman and Mr. Cox. I have already sworn in the rest already in the office in City Hall. So I'm just going to, you can stand and raise your right hand.
Do you have a copy, Mr. Cox? I do.
Okay, so raise your right hand and just repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Tim Linderman,
Do affirm that I will support and defend
do affirm that I will support and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States and the state of Florida.
the Constitution and government of the United States and the state of Florida.
That I will support and defend the ordinances of the city of Mexico Beach.
That I will support and defend the ordinances of the city of Mexico Beach.
That I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state.
That I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state
And the charter of the city of Mexico Beach.
and the charter of the city of Mexico Beach.
And I will well and faithfully perform
And I will well and faithfully perform
the duties of the Planning and Zoning Board of the city of Mexico Beach, Florida.
the duties of the Planning and Zoning Board of the city of Mexico Beach, Florida,
On which I'm about to enter.
on which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Nice job, guys.
I know.
All right, welcome everyone. So now that we have our board tonight, just as a reminder, Mr. Cox and Ms. Gardner, you're normally alternates for this board. With the 2 vacancies of board members tonight, you guys are voting members this evening when we do come to a vote. So just as a reminder. All right, the next item on the agenda, Mr. Chair, is the consent agenda.
So do I have a motion to accept or modify the consent agenda, last meeting's agenda?
Make a motion.
Second.
Do we have to call the roll on this, Tammy, or is this
No, all in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so the agenda passes.
That was the minutes.
All right, before Clint starts on the sunshine law, I just want to briefly, since we have so many new members here, discuss the running of the meeting and just clarify some things. So normally, we go through the agenda items, and someone may speak, an expert like Carly will come up and discuss it, and she's open for questions. We've been kind of loose with this, and I just want to explain that. So in this instance, Carly would speak, she would take questions. When she's done, we would open up for public meeting, she would take questions, we'll close the public meeting, and then that's when the board is able to ask questions. So we'll try and keep it that way. And then as far as, we tend to be more informal, and so after that we allow some discussion before a motion is made. The normal process of Robert's Rules of Order is to make a motion and to debate it. This is a pretty informal meeting, and a lot of times we have questions before I think we're ready to make a motion. So as the chair tonight, I will allow that discussion prior to the motion being made, but you can make a motion without that. Any questions on that? All right, thank you. Clint?
Yes, this is going to be really brief because I've done a couple at least a couple times before, and now the ethics training is mandatory for you, the board members of the P&Z board. But just when you're dealing with sunshine law, you have two aspects of it. You have public records and you have meetings. Basically, the meetings aspect is no two of you can discuss anything that may possibly come up before this board privately. Your only discussions can be in a publicly, properly noticed meeting. As far as public records, remember that anything that you create is a public record. Whether it doesn't matter whether it is who owns where the device, who owns the device, it's what business. So if you're on your own personal cell phone and you're discussing city business, that becomes a public record. And also, the other main thing is just be careful on social media, because if you end up getting into conversations on say Facebook, and another one of you enters into that conversation, that can be deemed a sunshine violation if you're discussing things that could potentially come before this board.
Okay.
And just keep in mind, I'll call you anytime if you have any questions or anything you want to discuss.
Any questions of Clint? Okay, so moving on to the next item, the preliminary plat, Salt Creek Phase 2. Carly?
Hey everyone, hope you had a happy new year. This is an application for preliminary plat, Salt Creek Phase 2 of the Town Village PUD Planned Unit Development. It is an application for 92 single-family units and 36 townhome units. It is in addition to those units, it has supporting roadways, stormwater management facilities, and utilities. The entire project is approximately 33.74 acres. Walking you through the packet, we first have a letter from Chris Short with Dewberry, who's the project manager. He's here today to answer any questions you may have. And then we have this in your packet. So now that's blown up. In the red dashed line is the portion of the entire planned unit development that is up for your review, labeled as Salt Creek Phase 2. Then we go into the plat, which is divided into a overview and more detailed versions. We have a planning review, an engineering review, and a floodplain review. Comments from engineering are asking that before final development order and final plat, the FDP permits are submitted. And floodplain has the comment to update the preliminary plat document to show FEMA's preliminary floodplain as shown on the design documents. And we've been in discussion with the applicant with both of those concerns. And it is recommended that the board recommend approval of this development. It is found to meet the requirements of the comp plan, the land development code, and the original planned unit development that was approved in 2020.
Excuse me, approved when? I can't hear back there.
February of 2020.
Excuse me, please wait till I open it for public discussion.
But if I can't hear her, she needs to know that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Carl.
Do you have any other questions for me?
No.
Okay.
Is there anyone from the developer here?
Yes, we have Chris Short representing.
Do you have anything you want to say before we open it up for public discussion?
I mean, I can just come up and add a little bit to that, not much. Carly covered pretty much everything, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Short, I'm from Dewberry. I'm the project manager on this project. Like I said, Carly pretty much covered everything. This board, and I believe this is in the handouts that went out with the agenda. This red dash line is the portion of the overall PUD that is before you right now. It includes 36 additional townhome units that are directly adjacent to the Salt Creek Phase 1 townhome units, and then the 92 single-family residential. We're also adding a lift station that will be dedicated over to the city in this phase, and there is a park that is this big blank space between the purple and the green, between the Salt Creek Phase 1 and Salt Creek Phase 2. That is approximately 1.7 acres. and that will be dedicated over to the public as well. So it won't be, restricted or private. That'll be for public use. I believe Carly covered everything else, so I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay. All right, so we will open up the public discussion at this time. If you have a question, stand up, please come forward, state your name and your address.
Jean Byrne, 101 Ocean Plantation. Oh, sure. I guess I'm just a little bit disoriented as far as phase 1, phase 2. So if you could just show me on this, because the part that is built now, is under construction now, is that Salt Creek, or is Salt Creek on the opposite side of 98?
So there are. Oh no! Everything's on the north side of 98. If you don't come over here, so shaded in gray, which is a little tough to see, are all the phases that have been approved.
Okay.
That's the apartments
That's right.
here on the north side of 98 and the east side of Salt
Can I
Creek.
hold that and you point it so everybody else can see?
Absolutely. Oh.
There you go.
So the shaded in gray
Yeah.
is we have the crossings, the apartments. That's on the north side of 98 and the east side of Salt Creek.
Okay.
What we're calling Salt Creek Phase 1 was the townhome development directly north of 98
Correct.
and west of Salt Creek.
Yeah.
Everything to the south is future phases.
Including this part here?
Correct. Yeah, all that's future phases. The only other thing is that outlined in red here, that's the current phase, what is being called Salt Creek Phase 2.
And that's the single family homes.
The green.
The green is the single family, and then there's 36
That's what I
townhome
remembered. When I
units.
saw all this, I got
Yeah.
really confused. Okay, I have one other question for you. This isn't a change then from what we discussed in 2020 per se, it's just continuing to the next phase of it.
That's correct.
Okay.
It's continuing to the next phase. Because part of the PUD approval, we relocated the second phase of the apartments to the west side of Salt Creek, far to the north.
Yeah. I know.
That was originally supposed to be kind of in this realm of where we are right now with phasing, but because that's been relocated, that's kind of been delayed on the phasing. But we're moving right along into the single family and townhomes portion.
Okay, just have one more question. My big concern is the waste treatment. Before the hurricane, as I understand it, we had 1,200 something units in Mexico Beach, is that correct? And then afterwards it went down to like 300. With this project, which I know was all we discussed a while ago, how many housing units are we going to be up to?
Oh, as a total for the city? I don't have that number. with
How
me.
many are proposed in
385.
this?
385 will
Is
be
in this-
total for that.
That's
385.
running total for the
That whole
for
development?
the whole development.
The apartments and the townhomes and the single-family homes? Okay. So we haven't maxed out yet, I guess is my concern.
Yeah, we reviewed that, and when we put together the PUD report that analyzed all of this, what we actually based our numbers on was July of 2018,
Okay.
as far as what the city's current use was. So July being a peak month, and then the month before the hurricane. As far as the available capacity for this development and identifying when we would need to potentially make upgrades down the road, we used the pre-Michael usage for the city.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anyone else? Ms. Logan?
Lisa Logan, Maryland Boulevard. How quickly do you plan to get this second phase started?
Well, that's going to be, I would say, because we have to get the DEP permit signed, should the city approve this development. We would have to get the DEP permit signed for water and wastewater, submit those, go through that process, and then pending what happens with the market. I mean, we could be looking at probably 6 months to a year before breaking ground. But it's all market driven.
My concern is, we see with what they are actually under construction now, how many buildings that is, the one road that is there. And yet we are going to go ahead and approve a significant amount more with virtually the same road access. And we don't know how the traffic is going to handle what is being actually constructed now. This seems extremely premature until we get a handle on this. We need to pay attention to the traffic that what is being built now is going to create in that tiny section of Highway 98 across from Canal Parkway, coming over a blind bridge, before we okay more. And a lot of us have been telling the city to please slow this down because we don't have a handle on this yet. And this development affects every single person in this town. It affects every property owner, whether you live here full-time or not. And this traffic affects everybody who comes through Mexico Beach. So y'all need to look at what this is adding before you okay adding more and you don't have a clue. So look at this and look at the very few accesses to Highway 98 that there are from this. We've already got 42 streets that dump into Highway 98. That is our main street. And you're adding a small town, because that's what this is, a small town. You're adding that to an extremely congested area. So y'all need to stop and think about this right now.
Anyone else in public?
Let me add on to what she just said. I'm Alex Hogan, 425 7th Street. I agree with Lisa, the access. When does DOD, I guess, or DOT or whoever expect to start that turning lane left and right off of 98? Do you have any idea?
That work is actually being performed right now. So all of the stuff you see on the side of 98.
I see you with agreeing it all.
That's the base for the widening, so that can be paved, and the center lane, left turn lanes, and then the right turn lanes added. So that's underway right now and should be wrapping up in the next couple of months, as far as this phase of the development.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. And just so everybody is aware, and Ms. Logan, just to answer your concerns, we had to permit all of this through FDOT. As far as the access connections, the improvements that they required, the widening for that whole stretch of 98, the right turn lanes, the left turn lanes, they made us base our analysis again on the pre-storm traffic counts for 98, and adding a 20-year projection growth rate on top of that. Then using that as a baseline, we added all of the demand traffic-wise from our development going through there, and based on their analysis with opposing traffic and advancing traffic and trying to turn across traffic, that's what drove all of the improvements to 98 that you're seeing happen right now, with the widening and the construction of the dedicated turn lanes.
Anyone else from the public?
I just have a follow-up on the 386. It says in 2 spots, future connection to 386. Do we know what the status is of that?
I do not know the status of that right now. That's still being planned and negotiated. Those future phases to the north, those are really, it's going to be contingent on that pathway. But unfortunately at this time, it's a very movable target. You hear things one time and then hear things again, but I don't have something solid and concrete for you right now.
All right, anyone else?
I just have a question. Just a general question. Shannon Jones, First Street. My question is, after all 5 phases are complete, how many apartments or homes will there be? What are we looking at? How many thousands or what?
Yeah, so overall, on this overall PUD, both the north sides and the south side of 98, there will be 944 residential units total.
Okay, so some could have 3 bedrooms, which would be 3. So just calculate that by 2 or 3
That's right.
residents.
Yeah, and
That's a
some
lot.
of those are going to be more townhomes, but overall, in terms of units, it's going to be 944.
With the minimum of 1 person in each unit, so maybe 2, 3. So that's a lot. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of traffic.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, ma'am, come forward, please.
Joy Hutchinson, Highway 98. I just have a question. Can our city really handle this kind of growth so fast?
All right. Anyone else before I close the public portion? Okay, so the public discussion is closed on this agenda item. So I'll open it up for either a nomination or discussion by the board. Or questions.
I will, have a little discussion.
Go ahead.
Just looking at land development code, the first thing, just to read this one sentence. Granting of the PUD will result in a recognized and substantial benefit to the ultimate users of the project and to the community where such benefit would otherwise be unfeasible or unlikely to be achieved. Then back in our comp plan, we have intent. And under the intent, it states promote the general welfare, prevent congestion and overcrowding, provide increased recreational opportunities, recreation sites, and open space. Last, ensure dedicated public beach access. Well, the 2 problems I have with this. Let me go up here, is that all right?
Order. Just keep in mind that we're discussing phase 2.
Phase 2. Phase 2.
Not the overall PUD.
No, phase 2.
Can we hold it?
Yeah.
Hold it so I can see it. Hold it back. Since we're discussing among ourselves. Right here is all phase 2. The problem I have, when you look at a PUD with this whole overall development, there's a lot of commercial space. Right now, we have 1 sit-down restaurant in Mexico Beach. You're looking at adding, to this community, we're adding 385 units. So that's 1 person per unit. I mean, it's going to be way more than that because they're all 2, 3 bedroom. You're looking at a minimum 500, 600 cars added to this. Right here, where the apartments are, built right in here, between is a piece of commercial property. Right here, you have all the townhomes, and all the houses are going in here. This commercial property right here should be developed along with this right now. That would give somewhere to have something added in there, a restaurant, sports bar, UPS store, something. This is going to be a major community, and there's no commercial space whatsoever. And you all know Mexico Beach, we don't have it anywhere else. The other problem I have, the apartment, the whole thing, you got the planning for the trail that's going under the bridge to the beach. I can tell you right now, nobody is going to go from them apartments carrying a cooler, a chair, and an umbrella and walk all the way down to that beach. It ain't happening. The only way they're going to get to the beach is to drive down Canal Road, and the parking at the end is nothing. Right now, there's just enough parking for the people who have boat stalls there. Right across from here, where all the townhomes are, there's a gate with access that goes back this way. All this property on the other side is going to be years from now before it's developed. This should include, and in here it says the city council can request a road. It's in the LVR, right there in black and white. There should be a road coming across here with parking and a walkway to the beach, just like Tyndall has down the road. There's nowhere for these people to get to the beach. Every side street we have in Mexico Beach, you can't park on. There's no way to park on side streets. They're not wide enough. The only beach access, basically, is a dedicated beach we have. There's nowhere for these people to go. Point is, this is mostly seasonal. What do they do in season? Not snow skiing. They're going to go to the beach. How are they getting there? There's no beach to go to. This is wide open property on the other side. It could be like that in another 5-7 years. And this is already planned in the future to have walkways and stuff through here. So looking at this, it's really no biggie to come across here, put a road in with a parking area here and a walkway over the dune, just like Tyndall Air Force Base did. And I mean, that's my two concerns right there. This project should have that, and it should have that commercial space put in, so there's somewhere to add a restaurant and something else.
So, Rob, let me ask you a question. So are you talking about, you think there's a need for additional parking other than what they have in the future plan that's right down there by where the hotel's gonna be?
This has happened 5-7 years from now. There's 500 something right here.
Right.
When this is developed,
Okay, so let me interrupt and make a point here. That I believe our purview in this agenda is really phase 2. If we want to make some recommendations to the council, that you're bringing up, Rock, perhaps we can do that. But I don't think it's within, I don't know if it's even within the council's purview, since the entire PUD has been approved and the phasing, to look at outside phasing areas and require the developer to do anything to those. Am I correct or incorrect?
You can make a recommendation. So to further what Rock's talking about, if there's just some kind of temporary road to the other side of whether it's Crush and Run or whatever, and with some additional parking over there, they did take my request before where I added, I don't know, I got 30 spots over here. They gave me a piece of their land to use temporarily, while to add parking over here for more folks to come across. I don't think it's outside your request to say that you're concerned about future beach access and the possibility of them cutting a temporary road with some parking places where people can access this private beach here. That's their prerogative from St. Joe. I don't know if Chris, if you guys have thought of anything further. The one thing that I did ask for you to do was to ensure that you had the bridge, underneath the bridge for the walkway to get to the boat slip access sooner in the plan, so that we have that now for the folks coming from those apartments to get across. Not to mention folks that want to walk across and get on the other side of 98. It helps our residents as well. So he did push that forward to get that done. So maybe that's some kind of concession that you want to put onto your approval or disapproval, whatever you do tonight, but some kind of more access for these folks to the beach.
So what about the commercial space?
We're not talking.
that's in this side here. I mean, that's
I
this
understand
one.
that, but that's in a different phase.
No, it's in this phase right here. They're just skipping over it. They're skipping over. This is commercial space right here. You have your apartments, you have your townhomes. This is commercial space right here. It's being skipped over.
All that orange is commercial.
Yeah.
So, but let me clarify. It looks like to me that purple area is Salt Creek Phase 2. The yellow commercial area is a different phase. It's not this phase. Is that correct or incorrect?
Oh, that's correct. The way that the phase gets here, this is adjoining. We had Salt Creek Phase 1 here along 98, and we're moving on with the adjoining property here for Phase 2 that you see here.
But they're not included in any of the commercial areas.
But this is not included.
So what I
commercial.
guess
That's
what
why
I
his suggestion was to ask them to do
Yeah.
maybe some commercial.
So we could ask that in our recommendation. Okay.
I mean, to me, that makes sense to do that because we have nothing right now. 500 something, almost 400 homes versus how many people are going to be there. They have nowhere to go. Mexico Beach has nothing.
Okay. Anything else?
So, Rock, fundamentally what you're talking about is kind of dovetailing or going further down the road that Ms. Logan brought up about traffic concerns. And as a resident who is also a boater, we know what it's like here in the summer with these 35-foot boats going in and out of the boat ramp and, 55-mile-an-hour traffic, and now we're expanding the roadway, but I think safety is going to be a big, big, big issue.
If you do notice, we successfully got them to lower the speed limit coming in from the west.
And
It's now
we just need
35.
to enforce it.
Yeah, and we're starting to teach. So we're not just enforcing right away, we're teaching. These guys, the deputies, are trying to train folks that it's 35 all the way to the limit, 45 down by the Sunspot. So sooner than later, there'll be a double line, so there'll be no more passing going through there. So just like the rest of Mexico Beach should stay that way. So we are actively, I mean, I went to the Secretary Gaynor for the DOT to talk about the traffic, so we're highly concerned about the trail.
And all of the improvements that are happening right now with the widening, the adding of turn lanes, those were actually done prior to getting the speed limit lowered. So all of the improvements that you're seeing happen right now take into account the higher design speed that it was and all the acceleration, deceleration times for those traffic movements.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions or input?
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Just for Chris. So if they come up with a motion tonight that includes those two items for that, is that something that you think the developer, may be open to St. Joe, to add another beach access, to think about? I know in the apartments that they're building now, they have a lot of amenities like gardens and park areas and things like that, but they don't have the commercial outlet that Rock was bringing up. So maybe, do you think that they would consider some situations like that? Because I've spoke to about them as well, about the need. So what do you think?
I think that definitely they would consider that, the next phase would be commercial to be a supportive use to what's out there. Regarding the parking and beach access on the south side, that is actually something we, and I don't have anything that shows it, but whenever we originally went through the PUD process, there were 3 or 4 things that were added near the end of that process, and a temporary parking lot on the south side of 98 was one of those things. So if that's something that, be it a condition or some other kind of recommendation, that is something that they would be open to. We've already evaluated that, so it would be something that would be fairly easy to accomplish. There would be some permitting that we would have to go through for that, but that is certainly something that could be done. And St. Joe did expand, I don't know if you guys can see here, this gray area. They gave some additional land, expanded the area that the city's lease for the boat ramp covered to expand that parking for the boat ramp as well as extending the life of the lease. So these are things that have been considered. The addition to the boat ramp is something that's more immediate, but the temporary parking on the south side of 98 is definitely something that they would support.
Okay. I guess I have a question for you, Carly. So, in your assessment, one of the things is that the space between one of the exits and entrances and the new boat ramp is not within the parameters set by the state. And did they get some kind of a waiver for that?
That's what Chris.
Okay.
So originally we had the request because as it stands right now, the Crossings Boulevard entrance has a spur connecting back to the boat ramp road. There were concerns about sharing that traffic. So we were asked to approach DOT about having a dedicated boat ramp connection road. And it was placed across from Canal Parkway. We went through the application process and we got basically denied. We were told this does not meet spacing requirements between the Crossings driveway and the dedicated boat ramp access road. So it was originally removed from the plans. But we were contacted by FDOT, and I guess it was negotiated with them that this would not be adding any additional demand. It would strictly be for safety and for convenience. So we got them to agree to allow us to put that dedicated Mexico Beach boat ramp access connection. That has been fully permitted. We have an issue right now with a Duke power pole that we're having to shift that driveway to avoid that conflict and then adjust some of the elevations as you come off of 98 because it's so high. But we are planning to have those plans over to the city for review middle of next week. And once those are reviewed and given the okay, then we'll hand it to our client and the contractor for them to price out and begin construction on it.
Okay, so based on where I think it's going, I'm concerned it takes a while to get a truck and a boat out of there. It sounds like you're going to do something about the slope issue.
Yes.
The visibility of seeing trucks and boats come out of there, is that going to be addressed?
So we originally had to address that with FDOT, and we did that based on the proposed elevations that we had on that access connection driveway, and compared the site triangles and distances with the railing of the bridge, not just the travel lane of the bridge. And we met their requirements with that. Now we're coming in, and instead of that vehicle leaving being on a slope, now it's going to come off of 98 and be more level. So it is actually going to improve that minimum site distance the DOT
I believe we
requires.
brought it up 3 feet from where the road was now to
Right.
My concern would be having, being a boat owner and using that ramp, is it takes me a while to get moving. So if there's much of a slope there, I'm not gonna be able to, they're not gonna be able to get out quickly enough to avoid traffic. And given the way traffic is here sometimes, I don't know if they can get out at all. Given that, will they have a shared access though with the other?
Yeah, the crossings access that comes off as a spur from the crossing driveway will still be there.
Okay.
And the revisions that we're making to the dedicated boat ramp connection will substantially flatten out those slopes for the vehicle and trailer sitting there, attempting to leave the boat ramp.
All right.
And that's what we're gonna have the grades figured out and finished up and sent over for the city to look at and review prior to sending it to the contractor for pricing.
In addition to that, they're going to start paving at the end of this week, the first of next week.
That's right.
The crossings entrance that has that spur. So we'll have a temporary access back to that way as opposed to going 36th Street in a couple weeks at the most.
Okay.
Yeah, the first lift of asphalt is scheduled to be delivered and installed Friday afternoon for that.
All right, thank you. All right, my next question is concerning sidewalks.
Yes.
So I believe in this, for the entire PUD, you're required to put in sidewalks. Who's going to maintain those sidewalks? Is that going to be the St. Joe Company, or is that going to be handed over to the city?
So as it stands right now, the sidewalks are within the public right-of-way that is being dedicated to the city. So as it stands right now, the city will be, as it's written, maintaining those sidewalks.
Is that correct?
Yeah, once they dedicate them to us when they're complete and we inspect them.
Yeah, and there will be, there's the maintenance bond process, at the end of construction, the contractor will give a certain amount of money in a maintenance bond, should there be anything that pops up within that performance period, and that way the city has the money to go fix it. But that's the way the dedications are written right now.
Okay, and then the lift stations, is that put in initially by St. Joe, or is that covered by the city?
Installation construction is by St. Joe, but they're going to be dedicated to the city for the future, for helping with the transmission of wastewater along the.
So it sounds like all infrastructure paid for by the developer, then it's dedicated, handed over to the city for maintenance.
That's correct, and that will occur with the final plat. Once we're done to a certain extent with the construction. Any remaining construction will be bonded for a performance bond, but that's down the road.
Okay, all right, thank you. Carly?
Yes.
This is probably trivial. I just want to ask on the permeable versus non-permeable.
Pervious?
Yeah, pervious.
Okay.
It states it's 70% impervious and 29% approximately impervious, and that's on page 8, item D.
Page 6.
Sorry, page 8, item D. Total amount of open space proposed.
Yes, I see that.
So where's the 1% go? Or is it because it's approximate?
It's because it's approximate, so within the original PUD approved in February of 2020, they stated that approximately 29% of the total site would be open space. And then because it's a PUD, they're required to have 70% maximum impervious surface across the entire parent parcel. They have been shown to meet that. So they just have to fall below the 70% when they come and back for approval of the development itself. Those numbers will kind of be finalized.
Right, and that's for the entire PUD. It doesn't go by lot, if I understand it.
Yes.
Correct. All right. That's all my questions. Anybody else?
How, talking about the approval for this, to word that in there, to go to the council, to add in requesting commercial space and beach access.
So what I recommend is write down what you want to add. If you want to make the motion to approve and add the things you want to point out to the council that request either the council will consider these or a request of the developer the add these.
And we could help you with the writing of that if you make the motion, or however you want to do the additions, we can help you with that.
I'll bring a motion forth to approve this with commercial space added and beach access.
We have a second?
Can you just give a point of clarification on that?
Okay.
So he's asking for commercial space added. We're not adding any commercial space.
It's
He's
develop what's
He's asking him to develop something,
At the same time.
which is also not something, because it's not part of this.
It's not part of the
It's not part of this phase.
Right.
What we could do is, and what Chris alluded to earlier was, in the future development or the next phase, to include some sort of commercial. I don't think we can force them outside the current PUD, other than recognizing the fact that they need to have some commercial. So just take that in as what it is.
Does that meet your motion or?
Somehow you need to recommend that the council push for commercial somewhere in their PUD sooner than later or something to that nature. I'm not trying to speak for you all.
It's up to you, Rock. It's your motion.
Yep.
A motion to approve this, for them to consider in the very near future, if not with this, to add commercial space along with beach access.
All right. Do I have a second? Still?
Yes, we have a second.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion on this motion? All right.
So I'll repeat the motion that I heard from you, Rob. So you had a motion to recommend to the council for approval and consider in the near future, if not within this
development.
They add commercial space or utilize existing commercial space and beach accesses on south side of 98. I added south side of 98 because I think that's what we were talking about earlier, if that's okay with you.
Yes, south side.
Okay. All right. Ms. Tammy, will you call the roll?
Mr. Elzey,
Yes.
Mr. Kreese,
Yes.
Mr. Linderman,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Ms. Gardner.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is draft ordinance 806, comprehensive plan amendment, private property rights. Ms. Hammond.
Yes, so this is a large-scale comprehensive plan text amendment to the Mexico Beach Comprehensive Plan to add a new chapter, Chapter 10, Property Rights Element to the plan in accordance with Section 163.31776I, or 1. So just to put it more simply, I know there's a lot in front of you. This is a property rights element that's required to the state to ensure that local governments consider the property rights of its citizens in decision-making. It is something that the state requires local governments to be passed. They passed it in July, or it became in effect July 1st, 2021. The city's a bit behind in approving it, so that's why it's come forward to you today. Because at the last Planning and Zoning Board meeting, we put forward a large-scale future land use map amendment. And in order for that to be approved by the state, the city must submit this property rights element. It's a condition of the property rights element that the next plan amendment, it's required by the state that by the next plan amendment, this element be adopted to the comprehensive plan. Do you have any specific questions, or I can go through what the language looks like?
So we'll wait till after public.
Okay.
All right. Okay, I'm going to open it up for public discussion. If you have a question or a comment, please come forward.
Lisa Logan, Maryland. So let me just clarify with Carly. Don't we already have private property rights in our comp plan?
So it is mentioned, the word property rights, but the state clarified what they wanted those rights to explicitly be. They mentioned mineral rights, the ability to physically possess your property, the right to maintain and develop and improve your property, and the right to exclude others from your property. So they want the cities and counties to explicitly state those 4 rights to ensure that they're considered when the city's looking at development.
I wonder about the wording that was in the packet. It says the city, it keeps saying the city approves, the city approves. Is it supposed to be that language?
That's language put forward by 1,000 Friends of Florida. It's a
I'm familiar with them.
Oh, okay. So that's model language that they put out to municipalities, and across the state, they've adopted the draft language just because it was something that the state put forward kind of in a hurry, saying you have to get this passed before you do anything else with your comprehensive plan. From my review, I've seen a lot of cities and counties just adopt that draft language.
Okay, thank you.
And Ms. Logan, the state did publish the recommended wording, and the city pretty much mirrors it in this document.
All right, thank you.
Would anyone else like a copy of the chapter that was passed by the state?
All right, any other public discussion?
The highlighted portion is just what's relevant to this issue.
Going once, twice? All right, public discussion is closed. All right, do we have a nomination or any discussion on this item?
I have a question for you. Just from my knowledge, what's the difference in will and shall when it comes into here? Like the city will versus the city shall. Is there a difference in that meaning any?
Not really.
Okay.
You shall, and again, we have to do it.
Okay.
Isn't shall usually stronger?
Yeah. It can be, I mean, it still got to do it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyone else?
I'm a big proponent of property rights, so I recommend that we ask for approval. Is that how that's works?
So I would make a motion for recommended approval by the council.
Recommendation of approval by the council of the large-scale comprehensive plan text amendment.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, Ms. Tammy, please call roll.
Mr. Elzey?
Yes.
Mr. Crease?
Yes.
Mr. Linderman?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
All right, that concludes our business tonight. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Or, excuse me, do we have something else?
No, I was just gonna say go dogs.
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Nice job filling in, sir. Thank you. I know you guys got things to do, but thank you all for your time.